and does everything to empower the community. And he honestly has nothing to win. So I learn a lot from him. He teaches me and hundreds of others all the time. And so I would say he is one Latino that is incredible. So I would say him and many more in our board. I mean, Herb Scannell, Oscar Munoz, Alex Lopez Negrete, Marcos Torres. I mean, so many. I cannot tell you enough how many people on our board are incredible.
But I want to ask you, it should be someone that is not alive, that you consider the wisest ever, or that you admire, even reading books about him or her. Is there such a person?
Yes, actually. I would say 2 people. One Mexican and one French. The Mexican is Benito Juarez, who used to be a president in last century. And he was great. And I think he stands for a lot of things that I stand for. And then the other one is a French writer called Simone de Beauvoir, who was an incredible woman beyond ahead of her time, who was extremely assertive herself, and who really kind of had a lot to do with the person that I am today, even though I never met her, but I read her books.
If you would be in front of her, which question would you ask her?
That's interesting. I feel like I asked her all my questions and she answered them through her books. So I would ask her, why didn't she have kids of her own? That's the one question.
You
I never
probably
understood.
wonderful kids.
Yeah, I think she would have been a great mom.
I think that good people should have lots of kids, so
yeah, exactly.
we improve mankind.
I agree.
So if I could give you a billboard in the most popular street in your city, which message would you write on it?
I would write, know who's driving the economy. Latinos are the new mainstream.
Interesting. I would read it. I would pass and stop. Oh my God, she's right.
I would write that.
Any habit that you have particular that you think is important in your life?
A good one or a bad one?
No. Well, whatever, Everything is relative. Sometimes a bad habit helps to become a better person.
A good one is that I'm a news junkie, I think. And
you read a lot.
I read a lot. I read a lot.
So you're well informed about the circumstances.
I'm very well informed, and I'm a nerd. So I love statistics, and I think that's a really good one.
Do you think is that useful for any entrepreneur?
Yes, it's very useful.
Why?
Because I think that it would be tremendously difficult to be a successful entrepreneur without being fact-based.
That's so important.
Yeah.
So how could you open a business in an area that is actually collapsing?
Exactly.
How do you know?
How do you get a loan? How do you convince your clients? How do you get investors? How do you plan your future? How do you do projections? I think you need to have fact-based data constantly.
So it's not so much about the product, but it's about the need in the market for your product.
Right. I think it's about everything. It's like, I think you need fact-based data for every aspect of a business.
And also, you need to know about what's going on in society at the moment, correct?
Exactly.
But
exactly.
Let's say today the people are looking for healthier alternatives for food, for eating, correct?
Exactly. Market trends, everything.
Market trends. So that's why the only way that you learn about is reading like you.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, and before we finish, I would like to ask you, what kind of advice would you give to a young, or not too young, because, how young you are is actually in your mind, but let's say young entrepreneur or a new entrepreneur that want to launch or to open their own business, her business, his business? Your advice?
I would say get very well informed of all the available tools for entrepreneurs in America. I think that we come from societies that have so little tools available that we underestimate what's out there. And we go to our parents and to our family and we try to do it all by ourselves. And you would be amazed of how much people and banks and the government and everybody is willing to give you, where you really don't risk most of the tools and all the resources that you need to open businesses, and how much accelerators and investors and groups and people are willing to give you money just for you to open businesses. This is a society that creates that, and therefore there's everything out there available for it.
Well, I think that's all what I have. Do you have any
Excellent. No, thank you, Fernando. You're doing a great job with this, work that you're doing, and thanks for having me.
Thank you, Ana.
Thank you.
If you want more information about this nonprofit organization, go to latinodonorcollaborative.org. Thanks so much for listening to our show this week. If you want to find out more about our podcast, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Como Lo Hizo, or visit our website at comolohizo.com. Please subscribe to our show on Apple Podcasts or anywhere you listen to your podcast. If you want to reach out to comment or suggest a topic, please email hello@comolohizo.com. This show was produced at the iHeart Studios in Los Angeles. I'd like to thank our producer Amelia Macchiavello, our sound engineer Martin Garcia, our technical supervisor Nathan Staton, and Annie Siderovich, our general producer. Como Lo Hizo is a co-production from Premier Radio Network and Crece Grow Media. I am Fernando Schiantarelli. Thanks again for listening.